This is what nearly 2 decades of belly-aching and form tantrum posting finally get you. The Dinka Jester RR. Does anybody know what the R stand for? Race, relatively reliable, or maybe rebadge and resell? We'll never know for sure, but no matter how many sporty options for the Sugoi Dinka decides to produce, little can even cast a spark in the tall, shadowy absence of the Jester's moniker. We all witnessed the company's redirection with the model about 5 years ago, with it simply named Jester as an attempt to transform the Jester's legacy from the reasonably priced luxury sports coupe from the 90s, which in and of itself had become a nostalgia-baited buy low, sell high used car investment scheme, facilitated exclusively by a fanbase of people who believe the Jester's engine alone to be capable of outracing the Earth's own rotation. In hindsight, the Jester was worth at least half of the universal thumbs-up appraisals from complete strangers, and I'm sure a kidney or 5 from the most dedicated of enthusiasts at import auctions. But boy, was this car inflated faster than an airbag, simply because of a movie franchise with more money in sequels and spin-offs than the British Empire had from owning partial continents. But I digress. The Jester took on a different approach in the mid-2010s with a more supercar-centric design. A design which dared to take the Jester's namesake onto the sprawling tracks of motorsport and into the air-conditioned garages of CEOs, rather than the garages of slightly less rich, non-air-conditioned, 6-figure everyman and women we can all relate to. Wait, it was pretty, but never before had the Jester's fanbase been so alienated. The redesigned Jester had its fair share of victories in GT racing, yet hardly made a dent in the new market it found itself in. A market claimed by the exotic European prestige and American bargain bin prices. It seemed as though the Jester had been exiled from the King's Court, as Dinka worked its best to fill in the absence with facelifted ballistas and the occasional motorbike. But the 2020s are a different world. Everyone's trading in digital drug dealer currency and stocks. The wealthy are now obsessed with battery cars that hum. Meet the RR. It's slender, pudgy even, but faster, and a hell of a lot meaner. Ignoring the speculation that it might have more Germanic DNA than the Weevil, the Jester has been aimed squarely at the impressionable youth which fell in love with the original Jester just years before. Much of its design is inspired from the original 90s curvature and compactness. However, in the relentless design study of beating people over the head with pareidolia, the Jester's neutral expression has been recoiled into a feral snarl, taking some inspiration from the Emperor's concept-turned-track car, the ETR-1. Instead of paying 4 times the price to private sellers online, you can now purchase the Jester for 8 times the price straight from the dealership with optional extras. Also, you can spend an additional small fortune defiling it with aftermarket bolt-ons and cutouts. On the interior front, it looks well put together, save for whatever the hell this trunk is. Okay. It has a nice digital infotainment center and about everything else you'd expect from a sports car that insists it's not like the other sports cars, because it's different and quirky. Instead, it loves cutting people off and dramatically overtaking cars driving only 20 above the limit. You know, unique stuff. The RR handles quite well in its surroundings, though this isn't surprising since it was tasked with combining the efforts of both previous generations, the iconography of the 90s image and the semblance of the racing pedigree it staked to claim in just years prior. Admittedly, it's a little messy, but it gets the point across well enough. The tail section of this Jester alone is more than enough fan service to make people take out a third loan on their homes. The engine itself is a true-to-form inline-6 with dual overheads. The Jester produces a 0 to 60 time so quick that it's probably in the second line of the advertising pamphlet. Go check it. I don't have it. You'll also find in the Jester's options a collection of packages which can turn your Jester from the talk of the room to the talk of the kingdom, like this homage to the original Jester. Overall, the Jester RR shares a hotly contested battleground with many other sports car contemporaries. The Jester incorporates a familiar design with a twist of modern engineering and trendy design. Sure, it may have taken its old undergrad paper, changed the title page, and added a few paragraphs, but when the source material is this marketable, all you need do is rebuild it, for they will come. Nice.